I don't know how to put this, but I'm kind of a big deal.
Dr. Bones, listening to Dr. Bones.
And now it's time for another episode of Blogger's Corner with Britt.
Hi, I'm Britt from eclecticpop.com, and welcome to a new episode of Blogger's Corner with the eponymous Dr. Bones. How are you doing today?
Very well, thank you. How about yourself?
I'm doing well.
Okay, wasn't sure if you heard me or not there. I was like, wait for applause, you know?
Yes, I'm waiting for
Yeah.
applause.
All right, so go for it, Britt. Let's get right into it.
Oh, sure. Okay, so this week, Witches of East End returned. So if anyone thought I missed an episode last week, like I did, there was a new episode. It was, I don't know, a rerun last week. But anyway, so they opened up this week, and Freya went back to the 70s, and an amazing dance sequence intro. And we learned the backstory about Killian and Dash when they had another life together, and there was even trouble back then. And apparently in that universe, they weren't brothers. But they were still fighting over Freya. And Dash had a fierce mustache going on. I mean, Tom Selleck just was like, whoa.
Yeah, I was like, and when I first saw it, the first words on my mouth was like, oh my god, really? I mean, they really like looked the 70s part, but wow, it is very, very cheesy.
It really, really was. It was super cheese. And it was pretty awesome because they just went off for it. The feathered hair. It was really cool. And I just think the levels of the costume design was really impressive to me as well. But I did really enjoy the dance sequence because Jenna doing Tatum, so y'all knew she started to step up. And it was cool to see her be able to dance and show off her skills again. I remember being so impressed with her dancing abilities on Step Up.
Well, I never saw that movie, so I can't really speak on that one. But one thing I can say, and I think most guys would agree with me, that she is hot. So definitely give her that much.
She is so beautiful, and it was very cool. I felt like the genie kind of came out of the bottle a little more this episode. I really enjoyed that it was more Freya-centric.
Don't get me wrong. I mean, I'm not big on dance. I don't know a whole lot about it. I'm never going to claim to. But she did do a good job. I mean, it did look good to me. So, but it was kind of interesting. Definitely interesting way to start off the show. I totally agree with that. And just a lot more background. And the one area that caught me is when they got the expert, which ended up being an old friend of Joanna's. For I can't remember what the name of the creature was. The creature we couldn't figure out what it was, whether it was good or evil.
Oh yeah, what did they call that?
I can't remember. Honestly, I'm blanking. It's like botanic something. Anyways, I was surprised that they brought this woman in, and the actress's name I don't remember, but she's been in a lot of stuff, and
yes.
She usually plays the not necessarily evil, but kind of like really. That's what I'm looking for. Really headstrong personality.
Yes.
And she's a great actress. But the one thing I didn't expect, and I was like, okay, so all right, we're gonna go in this direction now. Is well, to cut back a little bit, if you remember correctly, when Freya left Dash and said she wanted Killian, she went home to visit her mom, and that woman was there, and it was kind of like, disco was kind of popular, so not necessarily free love and all that fun stuff, but a little bit wilder times. And then she brought that up, and then they kissed. I was like, oh, okay, I guess I can see that. I guess the background makes sense now, but it's like wasn't expecting that one.
I have to tell you that when she came to the house and she was, Wendy was kind of like, what's going on? What's the damage? I did think to myself, I wonder if they were, maybe a little more than friends. And then the sapphic twist happened. I was like, oh, I knew it.
Well, the thing is too is like I just like it's not the problem they did that. it just, like Victor just died, like. So
that was weird.
That's why I'm surprised they brought that on so quickly. I would have thought they may have waited like maybe another episode or two to do something like that. So
I did expect that too. That was kind of shocking. My only explanation for that I might give is that because they've lived so many lives, maybe when someone dies, it's not the same. Because I was shocked that Freya and everyone seemed to be over. Oh well, he's passed on. I was like, whoa, why isn't everyone mourning him? And then I kind of thought, well, maybe because Freya and Ingrid don't have an excuse, but because their mom Joanna having maybe lost them so many times, it's not as debilitating.
Right.
Does that make any sense?
It's almost like they've been desensitized, kind of like this generation, to like violence because of all the stuff on TV now, right?
Exactly. Yes.
I can see that. And that I can see that making sense. No, good point. I didn't quite think of it that way, just because like my initial thought was like, well, I would have suspected where it would have suspected that they would have came to a head and kind of at least mourned Victor, at least for like at least a day, or so.
I know, they barely even really acknowledged it. I thought that's another reason I thought maybe I missed the episode after all. Oh.
No, it was yeah, because that's initially the thing. Because like when I was looking around for it, I went on the Lifetime website, which will never catch me on ever. But I was looking for the episode. I was looking for the episode. I was like, well, no, this is an old one, and so there can't be a new one because like. And then when that one came on, at first I thought I'd missed one too. I was like, maybe I just didn't see it because I thought they would have been mourning a little bit more, but obviously not.
Yeah, I know. It was a little weird. I'm a little confused about that. I hope that maybe in the next episode they cover it a little more. But to be honest, if I was expecting there to be a sapphic twist on the show. I thought that Wendy was going to turn out to maybe had a little fling here and there.
Well, with Wendy, I can definitely see that just because she's here, there, and everywhere, right? And
exactly.
She's talked about the whole. She's even talked about the whole thing, like about her many, we'll call it escapades. We'll put it that way.
Exactly. Yes. So I was expecting. I guess that's maybe why they did it the way they did, because they thought maybe we would think that, but it turned out to be Joanna. But it was interesting. I wonder how long this woman. I don't know if she's going to be a guest star, and I've seen her. I cannot think of her name. She was on 90210 in the final season. 90210 shout out.
Okay, that I wouldn't have known. So.
Yes. So I don't know how long she's going to be on there, but I don't know if this is going to be like a long-term love interest or what's going to happen, but it's interesting. Also interesting that Dash, he was dealing with these life and death decisions the whole episode. I was thinking, why can't he find a sleazeball to push the death into?
Right, and he did. And he did. And he found that one guy, and but this is slowly kind of showing, like, even though he pulled the death out of the little kid. But it's just one of those things. It's the society we're in. It's not necessarily an eye for an eye. I understand it's a show and it's part of the premise, and that's fine. But it's almost showing that like he in a sense doesn't care. So it's almost like the little by little the evil's kind of coming out.
Yeah.
And him and Ingrid, pretty much like I'm just waiting for them to hook up.
I know. I definitely think it's gonna happen.
But
I think, yeah.
Go ahead. Sorry.
Oh, I was going to say, I totally agree with you about how he's going on evil. It's like, it's very interesting. I really like the way they're doing his path to evil, because it's not overnight, bitter man, he becomes evil. Because the road, the highway to hell is paved with good intentions, and he's kind of getting there by, he's doing, quote unquote, he's doing the bad things for the right reasons,
right.
And that's when you start to lose that footing.
And obviously, after the ending of this episode, who knows if he's actually going to be alive?
Right.
Right, because the botanical or wherever this character was, put the vines in it, and just like the expert said, the vines in, you deal with psychosis first and eventual death.
Right.
So I'm tempted to see how they're going to play off that, because Dash is already a little apt up to begin with, because of everything that's gone on. So this, like, it could. They could do a lot with that character now. They could really kind of turn it on, saying now because this thing's infected him or what have you, now he's completely insane. He's going to go mad, But at the same time, too, is like now we figured out what was happening with Ingrid, because apparently this was mate. Because remember, they tried to kill it, and they would have killed it, but it got Ingrid too because she's his mate because they're connected somehow.
That's right. Yeah, he put the maid on her, and so it'll be interesting to see how they get Ingrid out of this very interesting situation.
Well, that's right, because the last thing you see is Joanne yelling for her. She disappears with this thing and doesn't really have a choice.
I know. Yeah, it's sad for her. I mean, I think that she should have probably, knowing how inquisitive Ingrid is, I'm kind of surprised that she didn't get more curious about these, nasty scratches on her back sooner.
Well, that's what Dash is there for, right?
Exactly.
So that was kind of alleviate that, just kind of assume it's something that's not supernatural.
Right.
But so there's that, and the other thing is I'm really curious as to what Killian's wife put in that drink.
That's a good question.
Right? Because what's the character supposed to be? The owl or is it the crow?
The owl?
Yeah, I think it's the owl. So you should either protect him or harm him. So I'm kind of curious as to what this little elixir did.
I am too. It's very curious. Maybe I don't know. I don't really have any guesses right now. But what do you think?
I think it might be something to erase a bit of his memory. Honestly.
Ooh, that's a good guess.
That way, you kind of still remember just the stuff that kind of needs to be remembered, but not all of it. Excuse me. Excuse me. So there's that, and also the other thing I was thinking about too is I'm sure this will play a part as well. I'm sorry I can't remember the actress character's name on the show, but the expert, she is also pretty much a palm reader, that sort of thing. And she read Freya's palm and pretty much saying, there's always going to be a cross, and in between her, Dash, and Killian. So it's one of those things that can never happen. So it's one of those things that you can't separate. It goes, unless you go back and find where it initially started, then you might be able to stop it. Of course, she goes back to the 70s again, and then it shows her when she and Dash finally split up because she's using her powers to make this some sort of super coke. Which they can charge 3 times the money for. And then, so, there is that. So, and then I want to stop using my powers for this and blah, blah, blah. Then show he has powers. So obviously then he knew his powers. But there's some sort of crossroads. And at this point, Dash's story is almost more interesting than Killian's. And I'm kind of getting tired of the Killian Freya thing. Ingrid's not that much more exciting. Even with this thing, it's but his thing is, you gotta kind of solve this soon because you can only drag this out for so long.
That's very true, and it reminds me kind of, they had a twist on Vampire Diaries where supposedly these two characters were meant to always be together, and then this, they were trying to harken back to the doppelganger and how they lived this way before, and that the fates, they are intertwined. I just kind of want to understand a little more about Killian and why. I get that he's hot and everything. But you got to give me a little more to work with than that, because I don't really understand, the emotional connection of why these two keep coming back to each other. It seems to just be a lust connection as opposed to something eternal love. Yeah,
exactly. And the other thing that killed me too, and it was funny just because it doesn't happen, it never happens, without it being extremely awkward, is you never have we'll say, phrase the ex, and then the new couple over here kissing 2-3 feet away from her, kissing each other. You can't tell me that wouldn't be super awkward, and another one wouldn't be really pissed.
Exactly.
At least that would have made it a bit more interesting if Freya had freaked out or something, or they just finished. It would have made the scene a little bit better. It's all right, now we're getting somewhere.
Yeah, I totally agree. I mean,
out come the claws.
I agree. I mean, and plus, how is Killian? I guess he's supporting himself. He's working at the bar, but then he's making out with his wife. I didn't understand. And then
all of a sudden he's working at the bar again, right?
I know. That was very weird. I don't know that was very awkward. It was almost like it would have made more sense if they'd shown the angle of Killian's new wife kind of doing it, knowing that she was going to be ruffling Freya's feathers, but they didn't put that narrative on it, so it just kind of felt very awkward.
Well, it's like well, just got married. Now I'm gonna go back to see my brother. It's strange. Don't remember he tried to kill me. Gonna hang out with the ex for a bit, even though I'm married, and I'm gonna work the same bar she does. So just make things super awkward. Is it getting awkward in here? Is it cold in here? Or is it just me?
Yeah, exactly. I think maybe that potion she put in there is killing Killian's awkward. The feeling you get when something's awkward.
Yeah. Oh, that's a possibility too. Just like I said, I understand the TV show. I understand they can play around with stuff a little bit more because obviously it's all fictional, and that's fine. But sometimes it's I just not one necessarily can't believe they did it. Just like it's almost too predictable or cliches. Like, what? Let's add a bit of a twist to this. Let's make it a bit more interesting.
Right.
So, I mean, like I said, the rest of the show was pretty decent. But, I mean, obviously, at least at this point, these small little parts are not really that significant. I mean, they are to an extent. And like Killian kissing his new wife with Freya there, that sort of thing. But, it's like... you can expand those scenes, still keep it within the same time frame, but make it a little bit more interesting by like turning one on the other for some reason, or making it awkward, because that's what people want to see. People want to obviously get lost in the TV show, but they want just a little part of reality as well.
Absolutely, yeah, I totally agree, and it'll be interesting to see to mix it up a little bit. If Freya and Ingrid are so close right now, but if there's gonna be something that kind of comes between them and drives a wedge,
right? So. I'm waiting to see what happens. Like I'm really curious to see what goes on with Ingrid in this thing.
Me too. Beast,
demon, whatever you want to call it. So.
The possessed avatar.
Yeah, that's good way of putting it. Yeah, So that was pretty decent, and like I said, there's a few kind of cheesy parts I think I could have done without, or they could have elaborated a little bit more on. Although all in all, it was a good episode. So I'm looking forward to the next one. I could really want to see what happens with Ingrid and this beast and that whole deal. So we'll have to wait and see that. Next up, like I said, like normally I wouldn't watch it, but like I don't mind it so much. It's actually not too bad of a show. As I've been watching Teen Wolf, so I'm caught up on that, and it's really been kind of crazy. The past 2 episodes have been like really action packed and just really insane because they've been kind of all over the place, and I thought it was really interesting that Styles' girlfriend, the Malia, found out that their guy is her father. Is it John or?
Yeah, I think it's John. Okay. I can't remember his name right now.
We'll just say John for just for this, but. So people can look up his real name on the character name, but I'm gonna go with John for now. So she finds out that he's her father, and she's worried that evil runs in the family, that she's gonna start killing people because he killed so many people, and even though maybe a few of them were accidents, it still happened. And then we find out somebody's stronger. So I think somehow he got Derek's powers because Derek still has powers, right?
Right.
And I couldn't see that hookup coming with a would-be assassin, right?
Oh, right, yeah, of course.
So,
they've been building to that for a while, but it was nice to... Derek has had so many, near hookups, so it was nice to finally get him, a little romantic.
Yeah. Well, it was one of those things that I thought was pretty predictable. Just like, all right, get to it already. Let's get this done so we can start this different storyline. So, it was... I liked the fact that, they're trying to draw the benefactor out, right, because they need visual inspection, and then to pretty much see it, and the way they killed name. Help me out here, Britt.
Which guy?
The Alpha.
What is his name?
Scott. Thank you.
There we go.
That's right. So Scott's girlfriend killed him temporarily.
Yes.
And I thought that was great, and it was kind of crazy those dreams he had with the I don't even know what they called him. That was the guy with pretty much no mouth.
Oh yeah, man.
And
the guy with no mouth.
Yeah, and then there was is it Mitch, the blonde kid? He turned into a werewolf to save him.
Liam.
Why do I think it was Mitch? Wow. All right. See, you can tell like kind of the show, but not fully, just because I don't remember all the names. But anyways, no, dreams with Liam and killing Liam, right? And if you kill someone, you lose your powers essentially. So and
Right.
there's a stat as an alpha. So it's just interesting in the fact that not Malia, but the Banshee. Lydia, thank you. Lydia finds out about her grandmother and saying, "Well, no, these are just what are her ashes," and I think she's still alive, right? Because they can feel, right?
Right.
So I thought that was kind of interesting. So I think we might see a resurrection in the next show.
That's a very good point. I think they might be headed there. It was interesting because last week her mom had not gotten sick in that, the
Right.
outbreak that occurred.
Right.
So I thought it was going to be her grandma through her mom that had these powers, or maybe her mom was also supernatural, but they chose to make it her dad's mom instead. So I don't know. I was still looking for her mom to kind of give her the wink, like, yeah, I'm super too.
One thing I thought was really good, just good acting in general, was when they brought Scott in the hospital, and then Liam's dad's like, "Well, you gotta find his mom and tell his mom," and there's that whole production she put on. And then afterwards, you see her she's like, "I can't believe he's dead. I can't believe this worked."
I know. Oh my gosh, I love that actress so much. She always brings it. And I was, my heart hurt for her, and I thought to myself, why didn't they tell her about the play, and why did they put her through this? And then
she had me.
She was in on it.
She had me going too. Normally, I can see right that stuff, but she had me going too. It was like, wow, they actually didn't tell her.
I know. Oh, she's so sweet. I really like that they put her and Styles' dad into the show a lot.
Oh, yeah.
A lot of times in these shows, the adults are completely out of it, so it's nice to see them evolve for a change.
Well, Styles' dad is exactly like him, right? Like the same sense of humor, that sort of thing.
Yes.
And speaking of fathers, he's been in a few times, but Scott's father, I think, is slowly but don't call me surely figuring it out.
I'm still trying to understand Scott's father. He is, they kind of gave a little backstory last season about why he left Scott, because he hadn't been part of the picture of the entire show, and they tried to explain it, but they kept kind of last season talking about how Scott and his dad were going to have this really big, coming together to talk through some of their issues, and they have yet to discuss what had driven him away from Scott. So
Right.
I don't know. I want to see an actual reconciliation between them, as opposed to these kind of awkward father-son talks.
Well, you never know. But like I said, I think he's starting to figure it out. So
I do too.
I don't think it'll be too long before we see Scott's father figured out, or at least get a general idea without completely freaking. Just a matter of now how he's going to react to it.
Yeah, exactly. I remember when the early season started, there was a lot of speculation that Scott's dad was actually an alpha himself, like he was a werewolf and he was an alpha, and then for some reason they went in a completely other direction, and it turned out it was Derek's uncle, who's Malia's father, who was responsible for a bunch of stuff that happened. But I thought that when he came on the show, it was going to be that he was going to be kind of Scott's mentor. So I don't know. I don't know if he's holding back a supernatural secret himself or not. But what do you think?
I don't think he's supernatural, to be honest with you.
I think you're right at this
so
point.
I think he's just your normal average Joe.
I definitely like that they're keeping the average Joes on the show, because at some point when everyone is supernatural, it just gets very boring.
Exactly. Very, very true. So yeah, the past two episodes were, a few more people died, and they're trying to figure out this list, and unfortunately Lydia's friend, the other Banshee, hung herself. And because of the benefactor and that sort of thing, so it's unfortunate, but and that she figured it out too with her being in that room, and so there's a whole bunch of things that went on. So it was pretty good. So, but I think we might see, if not next episode, the episode after that, I think we might see resurrection of Lydia's grandmother.
Yeah, I I think that'd be very cool, and I'm looking. I don't know. I'll have to see if I'm curious to see who they cast as their grandmother. It could be a really cool role.
Yeah, so I'm looking forward to it.
Me too.
So that'll wrap it up for the TV shows. I got just a few rock notes here, and we'll get into your blogs. One that, just one of those things. I wish I had to go the money to go and see this, and I can't believe this is happening. Pretty much two bands. There's one band's still going pretty strong. The other one's he's done a whole bunch of stuff, but the two bands I'm talking about are Primus and Tool. Primus is funk rock, like mixed in. It's goofy stuff, but it's really good stuff, and they're very talented. So what they've done is the original three have gone back together and doing a tour, making one more album. Except they're playing the Riot Fest, which is in Chicago and Downsview Park. It's September 12th to the 14th. Anyways, what's going on is they're playing that show, but last month their drummer Tim Alexander had a heart attack, so he's recovering right now. So he won't be able to play. So what's going to happen is Tool's drummer, Danny Carey, who in my eyes is one of the sickest drummers out there. This guy is just absolutely insane. Like, seeing him play live just blows your mind. You didn't think anyone's arms and legs can move that fast. It's just unbelievable. So, and it's one of those things it's not in the budget to go, and I'm so mad. So I'm hoping there'll at least be like a YouTube video of it, because I really want to see this.
Oh, I hope they do. Maybe they're gonna live stream it.
Because this is like I said, Primus is very talented, and the whole band of Tool is very talented. And I'm not just saying this because I like them. They are. Like, Les Claypool is one of the top bassists in the world, and he's jammed and played with a lot of people. And kind of like Dave Grohl. And so he's done so much, and I've seen Primus live a few times. Same thing with Tool, and just like they both put on really good shows. And I'm just trying to think of this guy, Danny Carey from Tool, playing Primus songs. I mean, the drumming's not as complex as Tool's is, but still, I think it'd be amazing to see it. And this was in the Rolling Stone, and it was cool because Les Claypool, I think he's like in his 50s, and he does the singing and plays bass, and he's a goofy guy himself, but funny guy. And in the article, he told them that he said the mighty Tim, his nickname is Herb Alexander, is a polyrhythmic Viking of extreme and unique talent. So that one person that we thought could step into his shoes and do it justice is the one and only Mr. Danny Carey. And what he said about Danny Carey is that he's got. Essentially, he's got a monster drum kit for one, but he's pretty much the tallest elmwood in the forest, or sorry, is the mighty redwood tree.
Oh.
Of percussion, towering over his kit like a golden-haired noble sequoia. So that's happening, and that's going to be so cool. And I think it's so cool that he agreed to do it with him. And I can see why. I mean, they're all very well respected. So it wasn't necessarily out of reach, but what a choice! Out of all the drummers they could have picked to replace him, he's the last person I would have thought of. Not because he's a horrible drummer, just because I just wouldn't have thought that at all.
Wow,
yeah, so very cool. Very excited to see hopefully a stream or at least a YouTube video of it. And just one of those things. It's I was shocked, and it was big news. I've seen a lot of my friends post on Facebook. It's can you believe this? Look at this. This is amazing. It's is this really happening? So yeah. So that was. Oh, I guess we lost Britt there for a minute. You got your back, Britt?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So yeah, like I was saying, it just one of those things. I couldn't believe this is actually happening. So very interesting indeed. Just a few other small things. Where is it here? What was I going to get to? Oh yeah, here's the one I was thinking about. Joe Strummer, who was formerly The Clash, passed away a number of years ago. His 1963 Thunderbird is up for auction, and it's expected to fetch around $250,000, right around there.
Whoa.
So there's that. If you're interested, I mean, they could be way off too. I mean, this is this is just a figure they're putting out there. Doesn't mean they're going to get that, right?
Right.
It's like going into a pawn shop. You can ask for something, but it doesn't mean you're going to get it.
That's a good point.
So, and the other thing is now Neil Young, you can now invest in his promo music. His promo music is pretty much a better version. It's supposed to be a better version of like an MP3 and MP4, that sort of thing. It's supposed to be a lot more clear, like almost like clear like vinyl, but even crisper.
Wow.
So this is something he's been working on for a while. So apparently now you can invest, and it's in the open market. So it might be worthwhile. I mean, it talked a lot about it in his biography that I read on him. So it seems really interesting and really cool, and it is like, but I still I want to kind of take a listen first. I'm not saying I'm going to invest necessarily, but I want to hear what the hype's all about.
Yeah, I haven't even heard of this.
Yeah, well, it's been going on for a while, so it just hasn't been highly publicized. That's all.
Oh, I gotcha.
So
when is this expected to happen?
The next month or so, I think.
Ooh, cool.
Maybe even sooner. So, so that was rather interesting. But like I said, I'd like to actually hear it first before I actually go and buy the earphones or the stereo or whatever it may be. You know, the docking station. So
that's a good point.
We'll have to see how that works. Other than that, that's pretty much the bulk of it. Like I said, the most exciting news was for me at least was Danny Carey playing with Primus. So if you're in the Chicago area and you can go, you know, it's worth it. It's called the Riot Fest, and there's a lot of other cool bands besides Primus, like Jane's Addiction, Weezer, like. So yeah, it's gonna be a great show that I can't go to, but it's in Chicago, Illinois, and it's at Downsview Park, and September 12th to the 14th. So tickets are available online if you want to get them. I know the exact price in my head, but I'm gonna guess around $200 a pop.
Whoa.
Well, it's a 2-day festival with that many bands, and yeah, you're gonna expect a price tag like that.
Sure, absolutely. It'd be cool if they did like iHeartRadio and streamed it online for people.
Oh man, that'd be awesome. Like I just can't even imagine what that show's gonna be like. I just like picturing is like oh.
Yeah,
but,
they need to put it on YouTube.
I know. I hope they do. So, all right. Well, that's gonna wrap it up for that. So let's get into your blogs. Like, what have you been working on the past few weeks?
Well, the first thing was the must-see movie of the month, which was Little White Lies, which is an astounding ensemble French language film. I think I talked about it a little while ago on the show. It just blew me away. It's a movie about these group of friends. It's kind of like The Big Chill, but so much better than that movie, because that movie, quite frankly, is just it didn't do anything for me. Anyway, and they Francois Cluzet and Marion Cotillard star in it, and they basically, their friend gets into an accident, and then they go on their annual trip, and it's kind of them. They're at this crossroads, and each of them are in this crossroads in their lives, and these kind of truths, these little secrets kind of spill out between them, and it's very interesting. It threatens to kind of reshape their whole dynamic as a group, and it was so well acted. First of all, I just found myself completely consumed in what's going to happen. So it's just a really great movie, and it's a summer movie because they're on vacation, and I've not been to France, but after seeing this movie, I got to get over there. It's so beautiful. The film, the cinematography is just stunning. So that definitely is a must see, and it's available on Netflix for streaming, so you don't have to send away for the DVD. You can watch it right now. And then the movie And So It Goes with Diane Keaton and Michael Douglas. Saw that. I did love it. I am a big fan of both those guys. So they have never been in a movie together. So it was going to be interesting to see how they ended up working together. And I wish they would have worked together a lot sooner.
Oh, okay, good. You missed that comment, eh?
Yeah, I really do. I love them both separately and together. It was a very good match. So I definitely, is a comedy, is it going to change your life? Probably not. But for me, it was a very fun way to spend an hour and a half, and it really it lifted up my spirits. So I felt a little down, and then I saw this, and I had a good laugh, and that was really cute.
All right. Well, yep, another one I probably will never see.
You gotta give it a shot.
Yeah, I don't do chick flicks.
Well, it's kind of it's kind of a people flick. I don't know. I think that interestingly enough, there are a lot of men there.
No.
At the theater, and it was just men. There were just men like together there watching. I was like, "This is awesome. This is appealing to everybody."
Okay. Yeah, still don't think I'm gonna go see it, but.
Okay, well, I gave it a shot.
And I'm not trying to be rude here. Just it just doesn't sound something that's on my alley. I mean, like, that's all.
I got you. I understand. And then I watched the movie Enemy with Jake Gyllenhaal. I put this review up, I think, I may have put this review up before our last episode, but it's, that was a crazy thriller. Basically, Jake Gyllenhaal plays a guy who's a teacher, and he sees his doppelganger in a movie, as an extra in a movie he's watching. And so he starts trying to piece together, he doesn't have a twin he knows of, so he's trying to understand why this guy has his face. And a series of very bizarre, to just say very bizarre, incidences lead up to them trying to figure out this mystery. And so it's one of those movies I refer to in the review as a Rorschach, meaning there's nothing definitive about the narrative. It just is something for you to watch and kind of, you take away your own what it means. For me, there was no need to stay that obtuse about what exactly was going on, because, I hope I used the right word, by the way. And it's actually based on a novel, and that novel is very clear. There's nothing left open to interpretation. I think they should have just led with that. The only saving grace is a very confusing movie, and this, by the way, the cinematography is absolutely, I know some people are going to probably like it, but for me, it is so yellowy. Just, it adds nothing to the movie. I could barely see anything. I don't understand the yellow filter. I really don't. But Jake Gyllenhaal does give a really great performance, and if there is someone you can kind of watch and, try to enjoy this mystery with, he is the best person for the job, but it just takes itself way too, like it's going to change your life. I know I said that earlier, but I did think about it because I was trying to redeem the time I invested in it, but I didn't really enjoy it that much. And it was directed by the guy who did Prisoners. Have you seen Prisoners?
No, I have not.
It was a very good crime thriller / drama. It's a movie with Hugh Jackman, and that was really good. It's the same director, and Jake Gyllenhaal also starred in that. I had high expectations for this, and it just it did not deliver.
Well, that's not good.
So, and then coming up later this weekend, there's a segment called Let's Talk About, which is kind of just a chance to spur a discussion with readers and stuff. And so basically it's about whether or not, with the rise of social media and how fans are able to interact about their favorite shows and movies, how that affects what happens on screen. Because even though people are able to say, I didn't like that latest twist in Witches of East End or whatever. I'm just using it as an example.
Right.
Well, I love that twist, but whether or not that should affect how the show is done. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, well, I understand what you're saying. Absolutely.
Yeah, so fans, fan input, the fans are the reason the shows exist, and how much say they should kind of have in the direction of the story is very interesting, because their voices are more allowed to be heard, but now it's about funneling that into a possible change. So I'm very curious about that.
Well, yeah, no, I can see your point.
Do you think fans should, be involved with what happens?
I don't know. Sometimes it's one of those things. It's hit or miss. Sometimes it's good. Sometimes it's bad.
Right.
So it's just so I don't know. I'd say no, just because it's just too hit or miss.
I mean, I totally. There's sometimes I go, I don't know about that, because sometimes I don't agree with everyone. I'm sure we've all been there.
Oh, yeah.
Like when fans are involved and they say, for instance, just using as an example, I don't want Ben Affleck to play Batman, and everyone ignores this, and they say, no, it's going to work out. It's going to work out. That's a time where I think you really need to listen to the fans. I'm sorry, I just do. I don't think that I'm not saying they have to say in every little thing, but because when you start having shows and movies by committee, it can be a bit of a problem.
Yeah.
But
Well, absolutely. So no, but I I agree. I don't think Ben Affleck should have ever played Batman, but but the only other thing that I almost forgot about, and it was so sad, was Robin Williams passed away.
Yes, I know. Oh my, I'm just devastated over it.
So big, huge shocker, right? Unfortunately, he took his own life, but we know a lot of people know he's been having issues with depression and substance abuse for years. So I mean, he was really funny, and it's kind of one of those things. After something like tragic like that happens, you kind of go back and kind of look at the old stuff. To know a lot of stuff they've done, and still my favorite is still the Genie.
That was so good, and he had such a great dramatic acting career. So, 1 Hour Photo, The Final Cut, and The Fisher King. Have you seen that?
Yeah, I've seen all those.
Okay, yeah, those are just such amazing movies, and just to say on a personal note that he brought so much laughter to people. I remember when that movie RV came out, and just going through a really difficult time, and then kind of needing something to lift his spirits, and went to a last minute showing of RV, and really just lifted. I feel so uplifted after seeing that. So much laughter, and it's just sad that someone who could bring so much joy and felt so much sadness. He brought so much into the world, and I just hope he knew that.
Yeah, well, I'm sure many people don't. I'm sure he did, but yeah, it was just one of those things. It was a shock. I couldn't believe it. I was like, what, really? Like, it just, and you know what? The other thing I thought of too is obviously, just like a lot of actors, they made fun of him on Saturday Night Live when they did Celebrity Jeopardy, and it was so funny the banter between him and I don't know who was doing it. I think it was Daryl Hammond, but between him and Will Ferrell, doing Alex Trebek, like back and forth, was so funny because, he was just making no sense at all, and he's they ask a question, and he goes, "No, the answer was the Beatles." He's like, "Oh yes, well what if they're the German Beatles? I want to hold your fire fig nougat. Yes, Mr. Williams, I hate you, but I love you." It was like one of those things. Like for some reason, it's hard to find those clips on YouTube. So I'm gonna see if I can find some sort of audio for it and post it later. But yeah, that was just really funny. But he in general just. Yeah, there's so much. I mean, he was Peter Pan, obviously Mrs. Doubtfire, and there's so many good ones, right? So, there are
so many.
It's a shame, but unfortunately, so is life. So, yeah. So that's also glad to have you back from vacation, Britt.
Glad to be back, and thanks for having me.
And no problem. So, guys, we will talk to you next Friday, same time, same bad channel. Ha ha ha. At 1:30. Until next time, this is Dr. Bones and Britt saying Bones out. Thanks for listening. We'll talk to you soon.